Hello, students. This is session 18 of paper 3. In this session, we are going to learn about Coulomb's law. Have to start. Session 18, Coulomb's law. In this session, the main objectives of studying this session are learning objectives. We are going to learn about the concept of charge, concept of electric charge, and also we are going to mention its properties. Then we are going to state one important theorem in electrostatics, that is Coulomb's law. We are going to make the statement of Coulomb's law and also explanation. And limitations of this law. To start with, first let us define the electric charge. Since the electric charge is fundamental physical quantity, we cannot define it in terms of absolute terms. Only thing what we can do is we can define in terms of the properties exhibited by this charge. Properties exhibited by the electric charge. We know that like charges repel each other, unlike charges attract each other. This property is used in defining the term electric charge. So it is defined as the fundamental property of matter. Fundamental property of matter by virtue of which it can exert electrostatic force on other charges. Now let us mention some important properties of this electric charge. These are the things which already you learned at the plus 2 level. Only thing is we are reviewing all the basics concepts you learned at class 12. The first property, just like mass is associated with gravitational force, this electrostatic force is also associated with matter. Charge is always associated with matter. It means that whenever a body acquires a charge, there is a slight change in the mass associated with that charged body. Second property, like charges repel, unlike charges attract. This is the well-known property of charge. Suppose if we take two like charges, say we know that there are two types of charges, positive and negative. If you consider like charges, either both positive or both negative, the electrostatic force between them is repulsive force. Similarly, if we take one positive, other negative, then the nature of electrostatic force is attractive. Third one, charge is conserved. This is conservation law associated with electrostatics. According to this conservation law, charges can neither be created nor be destroyed. In the modern concepts, we know that the charged an atom or the matter consists of atoms. In turn, atoms consist of positively charged protons which are held tightly together inside the nucleus, and negatively charged electrons revolve around the nucleus. So whenever we say that a body acquires the charge, we are either adding electrons to the body or removing the electrons from the body. This addition or removal of the charges takes place in such a way that the net charge of the system is always remains the constant. Only thing is we are removing the charges, electrons from one body and we are placing it on the other body. Fourth one, charge is quantized. According to this statement, whenever a body acquires a charge, the addition or removal of the charges takes place in terms of an integral multiple of the fundamental unit of charge. Here, E is called as if n electrons are removed, then the total charge acquired is Ne. Here, E is called as the fundamental unit of charge. From the modern concepts of electrostatics, we know that the body acquires the charge due to addition or removal of the electrons. Therefore, the charge of one electron is taken as the fundamental unit of charge. We know that the value of charge of one electron is 1.60 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulombs. If n electrons are added to the body, it acquires a negative charge minus Ne. Similarly, if n electrons are removed from the body, the total charge acquired is, it acquires a positive charge. The total positive charge acquired is plus Ne. Plus indicates removal of electrons, minus indicates addition of electrons. Fifth property, whenever charges are given to a conductor, all the charges are acquired on the surface of the charged conductor. Charges always reside on the outer surface of a charged conductor. Whenever we give a charge to a conductor, since there is electric field inside the conductor is zero, so whatever the charges given, the charges will immediately move to the outer surface. They reside only on the outer surface of the conductor. Next one, charge associated with the body. Associated with the body remains unaffected by its motion. Whenever we consider a charged body which is in motion, the motion of the body has no effect on the magnitude of charge. We know that according to relativity, the mass of the body changes due to its motion. That is the relative according to relativity, but there is no relativistic effect on the charge. The last one, whenever there is a flow of charges, the charge flow takes place then such that it always moves from a region of higher potential to lower potential. The charges always flow from a region of higher potential to lower potential. We know that water always, or the fluids always move from a higher level to lower level. Similarly, the charges flow from a region of higher potential to lower potential. With these basic properties of electric charge, now let us understand the magnitude and direction of the electrostatic force acting between the two charges. The relation is called as Coulomb's inverse square law. Coulomb's inverse square law, or simply Coulomb's law or Coulomb's inverse square law. Now let us write the statement of this law. It states that the electrostatic force acting between any two charges is directly proportional to the product of their magnitudes and inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. These two parts gives us the magnitude of electrostatic force acting between them. Then the third, this force and the force acts along the line joining the two charges. The first two parts of the statement gives us the magnitude of electrostatic force. The third part of the statement gives us the direction of the electrostatic force. Now let us understand this. Let us represent this diagrammatically. Suppose if we consider two charges Q1 and Q2 separated by a distance D. Let us take this as R. Then according to the statement, the electrostatic force acting between them is directly proportional to the product of their magnitudes and inversely proportional to square of the distance, R square. Now regarding its direction, suppose if we consider two like charges, say both are positive, then we know that the nature of the force is repulsive force. The force acts along the line joining the two charges and it is directed outwards. Similarly, if we consider two unlike charges, say one is positive, the other one is a negative charge, minus Q. In this case, we know that from the property of charges, the nature of the force is attractive force. So we can write the direction of force as attractive. Directed. It acts along the line joining the two charges and it is directed inwards. Now, if we remove the proportionality, then we get a proportionality constant F is equal to some proportionality constant K, into Q1 Q2 by R square. This is the statement of Coulomb's law. Now let us understand this in more deeper. The value of this proportionality constant, the value of K depends on nature of the medium in which the charges are placed, nature of the medium in which the charges are placed, and not only the nature of the medium, it also depends on the system of units in which the quantities involved are measured, that is force, charge and distances. So the value of the proportionality constant depends on nature of the medium and also on the system of units. Suppose if we consider the charges in free space, that is air or vacuum, then strictly speaking air cannot be considered as free space, but for all practical purposes we treat air as the free space only when defining the statements. So for this, and this is the first statement regarding the nature, and if all the physical quantities are measured in SI system, if SI system is used to measure the quantities, that is force is expressed in newtons, Q1 and Q2, the charges are measured in coulombs and our distance is measured in meters, then the value of the proportionality constant is given by 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught, and its value comes out to be 9 into 10 to the power of 9. Here epsilon naught is called as permittivity of free space, and its value is 8.854 into 10 to the power of minus 12 farads per meter. So we can write Coulomb's law in full form as F is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught. For free space, let us add the suffix F naught. F naught indicates that it is the free space into Q1 Q2 divided by R square. This is the expression for Coulomb's law, that is mathematical form. Now, if the charges are considered, this is the first case. Now let us consider the second case. If the charges are placed in a medium of absolute permittivity, epsilon, where epsilon is equal to epsilon naught into epsilon r, where epsilon r is called as relative permittivity or sometimes it is also called as dielectric constant. Or dielectric constant. So Coulomb's law for a given medium is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon Q1 Q2 by R square, or this can also be written as 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught epsilon r into Q1 Q2 divided by R square. This is the expression for Coulomb's law when the charges are placed in a medium having the absolute permittivity epsilon. Now let us express Coulomb's law in vector form. Coulomb's law in vector form. Now let us consider a coordinate system. Let us consider a pair of charges placed in a medium. Say the first charge Q1, which is placed at a distance of r1 from the charge, the position vector is r1 bar. Similarly, let us consider another charge, say Q2, whose position vector is given by r2 bar. Then the electrostatic force acting between these two charges is given by F21 bar. Electrostatic force acting on the second charge due to the first charge is given by F21 bar is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon, general form for any medium, into Q1 Q2 divided by R square, R21 square into the unit vector R21 cap. Similarly, since Coulomb's law obeys Newton's third law, it obeys Newton's third law. Therefore, when the first charge exerts an electrostatic force on the second, similarly, the second charge will exert an equal and opposite force on the first charge. That force is given by F12 bar. Here the first one represents force acting on the second charge due to first charge. This second term represents force acting on the first charge due to the second charge. This is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon Q1 Q2 divided by R21 square into R21 cap, where R12. Here is a correction. This we have to write it as R12 bar, R12 square, here also R12 square. We know that the position vector, unit vector R21 cap is equal to R21 bar divided by magnitude of R21 bar. Similarly, R12 cap is equal to R12 bar divided by magnitude of R12 bar. Therefore, Coulomb's law, this equation can also be written as F21 bar is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon Q1 Q2 divided by modulus of R21 bar whole cube into R21 bar. And similarly, we can write it for F12 bar. This is the expression for Coulomb's law in vector form. One thing you have to observe that if you write in terms of unit vector, then the denominator is r square. If you write in terms of the position vector r bar, then it is modulus of r cube. Now let us mention some limitations of Coulomb's law. Limitations of Coulomb's law. First one, this law is strictly valid for isolated charges which are at rest. Isolated, one more thing we can add is isolated point charges which are at rest. For extended objects, we cannot strictly validate the statement of Coulomb's law. Second point, the law cannot be applied. The law cannot be applied for a system of charges. For a system of charges whose distribution is not known. If you take a system of charges which are randomly distributed within the system, if the nature of distribution of charge is not known, then the law cannot be applied. It is not a universal law. It is not a universal law. We cannot consider Coulomb's law as universal law because the law depends on nature of the medium and also the system of units. If the system of units changes, the form in which we express the Coulomb's law also changes. These are the limitations of Coulomb's law.